What's up, my people? Shit, it is Saturday, 12 o'clock here in the UK, 3 p.m. in the 250. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week and a fantastic weekend. For those of you that have just tuned in, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I told you, man, every weekend I'm going to be here, man. Can we freaking believe it is freaking February? We're in Feb, and it's man, it's just crazy. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about today, so let's get right into it. For those of you that have just joined, please do hit the like button down there. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, man. It has been a crazy week, and really looking forward to the weekend. So I hope you guys have got something planned out. So today I'm going to be talking about how I adapted to living in a new country. Yes. The whole big move. The move from Kenya to the UK. Oh man, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. But before I get into like all of those things, I just wanted to talk about mention a couple of things regarding change. Okay, I think personally the way I see it is I think it's in human nature to just reject change. Change is something that I just look at the old guys, right? Look at the elderly, right? They see these new kids doing this new music and the way they're dressing up, and they're like, I can't deal with this shit. It's like they just look at these kids with all this hate and like, I can't accept this. I don't want to change the way I've been doing things in a certain way for so long, and I'm just so comfortable with the way this thing is, and I just don't want to get out of that. I don't want to get out of that comfort zone. I don't want to get out of that bubble and do something else that's different. It's just in our nature. We want to continue doing the things that we've always been doing, passionate about in our small little bubble and world, because it gives us this feeling of stability. It gives us this feeling of predictability, like I know what's going to happen next, right? The simplest example I can give you is like, look at the music today, right? New generations coming in with this new music. And I was even talking about it the other day. If you've watched my previous videos on this channel, I was just saying that these new kids that are coming in with this new music, right? And I'm looking at it from a different generation now, and I'm like, what the freaking hell is this shit? I can't be listening to this, you know? So it just sounds different, and I'm not accepting that change. I'm not willing to adapt to that change, to listen to something new, because it's just in human nature to feel like once you get comfortable in that zone, in that comfort zone, you don't want to expand. You don't want to get out there and do new things. And the longer that you stay in that zone, the more difficult it's going to be for you to accept change. Look at these older people. You walk up to them, and DJ Skate, thank you so much for checking out the channel. And oh shit, I just got a live chat there. Salute to you, DJ Skate. Man, the session that we had last time was fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a good weekend, by the way. So yes, back to the topic that I was trying to talk about. Yes, so the change. Yes, so you look at these older people, and you try and tell them, oh, but guys, they like wearing pink now, and guys want to wear like these tank tops and pierce the earrings, and they just look at you with this hate, like why? I don't want to do this, but you can't fight the system. You can't fight the majority. If this is the new generation coming in, right? And this is how they're doing things. This is the new processes of life. Look at working from home for an example, right? I never knew I'd embrace working from home, Okay, maybe my situation's a bit different because I'm an introvert, but look at these other people that have been forced to work from home. It was because of the pandemic, all these situations changed. Things changed. You're forced to do something that you're not comfortable doing, but you have to adapt. Because the longer you stay in that comfort zone, that small bubble that you've built for yourself, the harder it is going to be for you to move on, to learn, to progress, to improve your life, to live a healthier, rich life. You don't learn. You don't learn if you don't get out of your comfort zone. So this is exactly what I was talking about, and so this is why I felt like, because Kenya for me was my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie. It was my comfort zone. It was a place that I was born. I've lived there all this life. All my life, and I felt like I was in this bubble, doing the same things, meeting the same people, doing the same things. Yes, it was good, it was comfortable, but was I growing? Was I progressing in my life? Was I making moves in my career? I wasn't. I felt, and I could see it. The thing was, if I stayed in that bubble, I don't think I would have been able to move or even change countries for that matter. So it was a tough decision, but it had to happen. It just had to happen. Sorry, I'm just going. I'm ranting on to like other stuff, but yes, this is because life is so uncertain, right? Life is so uncertain. We're constantly living in a world where we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Forget about tomorrow. We don't even know what's going to happen in the next second, right? We could be living comfortably in your own house. Someone just barges in and just shoots you in the head. I don't know if you guys watched the news recently. There was this YouTuber here in the UK. He was so depressed, and one day he owned a gun. One day he just got out of the house and just started shooting people in the street. Yeah, he it just so unpredictable. So the lives that we're living are so unpredictable, and when we try to build our lives around predictability, we try to build our lives around being consistent and doing the same things because it gives us comfort that this kind of process, this kind of way of life is predictable. I can predict. I can. So when you can predict something, you can manipulate it. You feel comfortable because you know when it's going to happen. But life isn't like that. Life is so uncertain, right? We don't know what's going to happen even in the next second. So it's crazy. But like I said, biologically and technically speaking, change and getting out of your comfort zone is the only guaranteed way of learning, adapting, improving your skill set, living a healthier and richer life, right? It's the only way that you can look at this podcast thing that I'm doing right now. This is me out of my comfort zone. I never used to be someone who used to take selfies and videos and getting on in front of the camera, but I'm doing this because I want to improve my ability to talk to people. I want to improve my social skills. I want to make more connections. I said that this year I have to reach out to more people. I need to talk to more people, and just get out of my small bubble. And so this is why I'm doing this. But so it's crazy. Wow, looks like today we've got quite a lot of people checking out the channel. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. So I'm gonna share some of the things that I experienced when I moved here into the UK. And I think towards the ending, I'm going to share this one video. And I was looking for it in the morning, and I couldn't even find it. I was like, I wanted to have this video. I wanted to share this one video. There was another one of my Romanian friends. I finally made him say the words "Wamblambes." So I finally found that video, and I was looking for that video. I was like, shit, where's that video? And I found it, so I'm going to play that video in the ending. But that's going to be in the ending. So if you still stay tuned, we'll check it out. All right, so back to what I was talking about. There was a friend of mine that once said that, when was the last time you walked up to a random stranger and just started talking to them? And I was like, I've never done that. And why? It's so uncomfortable, just walking up to a random stranger and just having a conversation with them. And it's one of the ways you could just get out of your comfort zone of being an introvert. And I thought, like, man, that's something that I should definitely try. Oh, looks like we've got another live chat. Man, today, shit, it's like people are just checking out. Man, this is awesome. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the live chat. Fun days. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, so getting out of your comfort zone is what I was talking about. So one of my friends was like, why don't you just go and talk to a random person because you're an introvert? Because I told him, like, I'm not someone that's very conversing with talking with people and hanging out with people and being social. It's just one of my weaknesses rather. And they were like, just freaking get out of your comfort zone. Just get out and do it. Because the longer you stay in this bubble, right? Yes, it's comfortable. Yeah, it's comfortable, but then are you going to make any progress? Are you going to make, moves? How are you going to learn new skills? If you don't interact with new people, you're not going to learn something new. You're not going to make those connections to progress your career or anything that you want to do, right? So, yeah, I mean, it really got me thinking. So, yes, before I moved to the UK, there was this girl that I was talking to in the US, and she was living in Arizona, Phoenix, and she was really convincing me to join her in the US actually, and I was this close. I was this close. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be in the UK. Maybe I should just go to the US. And she showed me like the salaries that people were making over there in the field that I'd studied, and I was really thinking like I think this would be really awesome. I've never lived and worked. I've actually never worked. I've lived, but I've never worked in the U.S. And I was like, shit, I gotta give it a try, and I'm gonna be on my own. But then I thought, if I'm gonna be with her, what if things end up, we end up getting into a relationship, and then I'm kind of like dependent on her. And I was like, I can't do this because I want to learn to be independent, right? It would have been weird because if I moved from there, kind of where I have connection, then I go into another country and then I have her. It would have just been weird. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be in a state where everything's new to me. I'm starting from scratch because that's how you learn, right? That's how you learn. So so I kind of like canceled that plan. I was like, oh yeah, let's just forget it. I just decided, what, I gotta make it to the UK, and when I moved here, so let me show you the apartment that I moved in here. Wait, actually, before I talk about that, let's talk about a couple of things. So there's a couple of things. So there's leaving family and friends behind, forgetting the activities, culture, norms, and habits that you're normally used to doing in Kenya. You can't do that shit over here. I mean, you can, but it's totally different. And then new processes and new ways of doing things over here as compared to Kenya. And I'm gonna talk about those as well. And then the weather. Fuck the weather. Oh shit, that's a topic that I'm really trying to avoid, but I'll just have to talk about it. Then the job market is something that I'll talk about as well. So how's the job market in Kenya compared to here in the UK? And then the cost of living. Ooh, the cost of living. Shit. And then just food. The different types and what you can experience. So, well, these are just my experiences. Obviously, everyone will have their own experiences. So when I moved, I left all my friends and family behind. I literally had no friends, no connections here. It wasn't like I didn't even have like a job offer yet. I literally came here. You can think of it like I just came here naked. I just dropped myself in the middle of central London. Like, here, you've just landed at Heathrow. Good luck. It's like one of those games. You start a game. It's like you have nothing in your inventory. It's crazy, man. So I started from scratch, and so this was the apartment. I say apartment. It's not even an apartment. This was a room that I moved into. So let me see if I can share this. This is where I start. This is where it all began. So I left my family, friends, everyone out of that comfort zone, right? I mean, life in Kenya wasn't that bad. It's not that it was bad. I'm not saying that I was running away, but I just wanted to. I wanted to. I just wanted to learn something new. I wanted to live in a new country. I wanted to. I wanted to tap into the job market here in the UK. I'll be very honest. I felt like I saw people, out here making quite a lot of money and, really making it in life. And I was like, shit, I got to, if I don't try it now when I'm younger, I'm never going to do it. I'm going to still just stay in Kenya and just live my life there. And maybe things would have been different, but if I didn't take that leap, if I didn't say, you know what, I'm going to freaking start from nothing. And this is nothing right here. I mean, look at this shit. They call this a furnished room, right? This is how I started. Like, there was just a mattress and like one stool or whatever, a drawer, and it's even missing a freaking shelf, man. This is where I freaking started, man. Okay, some people might say, "Oh, it's a carpet. You've got a carpet on the floor. At least you've got." This is how I started, guys. How does this look comfortable? This isn't comfortable. I left comfort and got out of the comfort zone, literally. And I started like this. This is how I started, man. And it wasn't easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. When you leave your home and you leave the things that you've been doing for years, not even months, years, you stop doing those things and then just start afresh. It's not easy, man. It is not easy. It is one of the hardest things. When you don't have friends, you don't have family to connect to, no one's there. Like you've just started, and this was my own self decision. I was like, I had to do this. It was a hard pill to swallow, right? Do I have any regrets? Fuck no. So, so so this is where I started. There were days that I felt like I made the wrong decision. When I initially took the flight, it was I had planned, like, you know what, I put some money aside, right? Put some money aside in my account. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and survive and look for a job in the next 3 months. Okay, I'd estimated like a figure in my head. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put aside this amount of money. I'm gonna live in London for 3 months, and if things don't work out, I'm just gonna go back, right? So I'd bought a return ticket. So I was gonna be here for 3 months looking for a job, and just really work my ass off and try and make connections. I had no friends, no one here in the UK when I started out. It's not like I even came here with like a job application. I started applying when I landed here because I talked to a couple of recruiters when I was in Kenya, and all of them, I'll be very honest with you, if any one of you does want to come here in the UK, first thing is just going to ask you, like, do you have the right to work? All right, do you have citizenship here? Okay, if you don't have citizenship, do you have a sponsor? Do you have a work a company that's willing to sponsor you to pay for your work permit here in the UK? They're just going to be upfront with you. Okay, once you clear that stage, it's like, okay, when can you come in physically for the interview? I was living here going for interviews on a freaking daily basis. The good thing was, yes, it was a shitty living space and the way I was living, but the good thing was I had interviews lined up back to back because London, it's a totally different, it is alive. I'll tell you that. If you think Nairobi is busy, right? I know Nairobi is busy, right? The CBD people are just walking around, but most of them are just thugs. I'm talking I'm talking about people here. There's this The way things happen here is totally different. It's organized. It's organized chaos. I think if that even makes sense. Organized chaos, I guess. It's like you everything's planned, but if you're not managing your time well, you're screwed. And so I had interviews back to back. I had recruiters like, okay, now that you're here, let's get you, into like a couple of interviews. And the cool thing about the system here is like we have these recruiters that are like sharks, right? And their job is to get you employed as fast as possible, right? And I wish something like this was happening in Kenya. Maybe I can start a company like that over there. But anyway, so these people with their job is to get you employed, and once you get employed, that employer pays them a small commission to get you employed. So they're like sharks. They're like, I had my phone ringing 24/7, like, hey, can you come in? Can you come and do this? Can you come and do that? We've got an interview for this other company wants to really want, some of the recruiters would contact me and tell me, okay, these were the other people that they interviewed with, and these were the questions that they asked. They really want you to get employed because they want that commission. And that was amazing. That was the first time I experienced that. And I was like, that's freaking amazing. Everyone wins. At the end of the day, I get a job, you get a commission. It's a win-win situation. So I had my phone ringing 24/7, and I lived in this place for a month, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I'll tell you guys that. Like, I mean, look at this shit, man. I had 2 cupboards, a TV that I never fucking used. That was my suitcase that I came in with. This is the state in which I was in when I came here. I had literally nothing. And I didn't even have a blanket, yo. I didn't have a blanket, so I was sleeping literally just on on a mattress that didn't even have like bedding or anything like that. I had a couple of clothes that I put in my cupboard, and this was my life. This was my life for a month. I'm very grateful that it was for a month. So let's talk about the other thing: is forgetting the activities, cultures, and norms and habits that you're normally used to in Kenya. Now, the culture in Kenya with people is, everyone's so humble and polite and easygoing. You don't have that over here. We don't do that here. So here it's more like, well, this is my personal opinion. Here it's more like, can we book an appointment to hang out? Can we book an appointment to meet and talk? Even if it's you don't really have friends here. It's more like work associates, like workmates, and like it's a different ball game. Here everyone's so focused on what they want to achieve and what they want to try and accomplish. It's like they look at hanging out and chilling out and let's sit next to a tree and chew mira. It's like, nah, we can't really do that anymore. You can't. People don't just walk into your house and knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm home, let's go and hang out. There's nothing like that. Okay. And I think one of the reasons, so obviously because of the work culture and the way things are moving like that, it's nothing like in Kenya where it's like, madafu itaanguka. It's not like that. Okay. The lifestyle here is, let's fucking get this shit done. There's no time. Like even the time that you're free, it's like a planned time to be free, right? So that's the kind of culture that, because I had recruiters calling me on Saturdays, I had emails coming in on Sundays, and man, it was it was crazy. So even the people that I was living with when I was here, they had their own shit to do. They were working 9 to 5 jobs. They didn't have time to and even when they did come home, it was just cook a meal, a fast meal, and just go to sleep. That was it. It's like, how would I say, batteries? I guess batteries. They were just batteries. So yes, so forgetting all the activities and cultures and norms and habits of what you were doing in Kenya, and you come here, it's like you can't be that easygoing person anymore because people are sharks. People are on the move. Things are moving. You gotta be awake. You gotta be quick. Even the speed at which you're talking to someone, they can lose interest real quick. When I came in and I was talking like, "Hey, what's up? I'm good." People just came, like even the person that helped me get this apartment, he was talking at 1,000 words per second, and I could hardly even understand what he was saying because he was speaking so fast. People just get shit done. It's like everything just works. There's a system. You contact someone, you manage the time. You say, okay, this is the time that we're going to meet up. We're going to discuss this. This is the agenda. Done. So there's no small talk kind of culture here. It's everyone's just talking business, talk shop, and get the fuck out of my face. So that was the biggest change for me. I was still more friendly and I was saying hi to my neighbors, and my neighbors were like, "Fuck you, bitch, I'm busy." So it was a totally different ball game. So I had to get used to that. Okay. There was a friend of mine that was telling me once that this is totally a side thing, but a friend of mine, she's still in Kenya. She's living in Kisumu, and she moved to Nairobi. Not moved, but she traveled to Nairobi for a couple of days, and she started complaining like, "Oh, I miss Kisumu, and Nairobi just sucks." And I was like, "You've just moved there you've just moved for like a couple of days. Just try doing that for 4 years." It's what I've been doing, and it's not easy. I get it. The change is not easy. But if you don't accept it, if you don't take it, you don't do it, then you're never going to learn anything new. And I learned so much when I was in this shitty place. Literally, a lot. Look at this shit. This is how I was eating food. This is a fucking ironing board. I didn't even have a table. How is this comfortable? So this was the life that I started off with. This is where I started off. This was ground zero. I'll never throw this plate out though. This plate has good memories, and I think some of you have seen me taking some pictures with this plate. This plate and this bowl. Never throw it away. This was the plate that I started my life with, my journey with. It will always forever be in my in my possession. Never get this plate replaced. Some good memories with this plate. It was there for me. It was there for me when I had no one. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So yeah, it was crazy. So paying for things. Okay, so now let's talk about the processes. So paying for things, everything's using apps and websites because the system just works. Okay, the system just works. And I was just thinking the other day, like, have you ever tried logging into one of these government portals in Kenya? Nothing works. There's nothing online that works really. But here in London, it's totally different, right? Everything online, the internet never dies, the electricity never goes down, things just fucking work, and you just have to do everything online because everything's connected, blah, blah, blah. So you just have to adapt to that new way of doing things. So in Kenya, I used to use cash a lot. You know, I either use cash or you just use M-Pesa. But here it's you just pay with debit. Everything's online. I don't even remember the last time I even touched money, like physical money, right? You get paid online. Okay, obviously in Kenya you do, but most of your transactions, most of the things that you buy is done online. So you order things, they get delivered at your doorstep. It's everything's just so convenient and easy because they understand that they have built this system in such a way that you're not focusing on, okay, should I now go to the ATM, start withdrawing money so I can pay this dude, and then this guy is going to take like a small commission, and then I have to think about, there's nothing like that, withdrawing money and all that. No, there's nothing like that. Here it's like, let's make the process as convenient and quick as possible so you can focus on the main things, which is actually getting the business done or your transaction done or whatever it is that you want to do. Following English holidays very strictly. Yes, of course, you can come from Kenya, you have Jamhuri Day and all those other holidays. Yeah, just forget that shit. You just forget all of those. You follow the holidays that you're given, and they call them bank holidays, bank holidays. So I thought, bank holiday, will I get like paid on that day or something? Or is it like something to do with my bank, or maybe do I get like some money on that day or something? Why is it called a bank holiday? I don't know. Till today, I don't know. It's just a holiday. It's just a holiday. They call it bank holidays. So that was that was something that I had to get used to. Getting used to the speed of which people were talking, the British accent. Some accents are so fucking thick you can't understand what the freaking hell are they even saying. You'll have people from Ireland and Scotland and like, what? Can you please just talk? Either you talk slowly or just repeat what the hell you just said, because I don't understand shit. Some people will just mutter these words. What? What? And you just feel embarrassed. You're like, now if I ask him to like repeat what he just said, I'll give off this impression that I'm dumb or I don't understand English that well. And so you have to fucking keep up. You have to keep up. It's difficult. It's difficult. But the thing was, I think here it's kind of different because everyone speaks English, right? English is like the main language. You don't really have. Obviously, there are different cultures. People have the different languages, but the main language, and it's consistent across the country, is English. It doesn't matter about the speed and the accent and all that. English is the main language. But in Kenya, it's kind of different. Right? Because in Kenya, my experiences were at home, I'd probably maybe talk Punjabi or like different dialects or whatever in at home, right? And then I'd go to school and then I'd either switch between Kiswahili and English. And then with a couple of other groups of people who were from different tribes, they would have their own like language, of course, like Kikuyu and Luo, and I can't remember all of those other names, but so they'd have their own language, And sometimes they would mix that with English, or they would mix it with Swahili, and you have to keep constantly adapting and being multilingual and be like, okay, so how do I speak to this dude? So you don't have that kind of problem here. Here it's like everyone just speaks English, and it's kind of like a requirement, I think, if you can't really speak English, that they force you. Should I say the word force? They make you go for English classes. So yeah, there's that. Right. Next point, the weather. Am I going on to the next picture? Yeah, so this was it, man. I got this towel for like £1 and a bed cover for like £1, and these pillows I kind of stole them from the hotel that I was living in. Yes, yes, yes. It was tough. It was fucking tough, but I had to get the fuck out, and I had to starting again is not easy. I'll be honest with you guys, man. So, man. Anyway, okay. So this was my life. You know, it was just this weird state where you suffer a little bit, but you have to suffer a little bit, sacrifice a little bit to see the bigger picture, to see a better life. Now, the weather. Oh, this is the point that I don't want to talk about, but I got to talk about it, man. This was the first time I experienced winter. Look at this shit. Look at this fucking shit. What the fuck is this shit? Now, Kenya, most of you Kenyans know, Kenya is on the equator. And if you've not gone to school on the equator, what it means is you have summer 24/7. And I was talking to another friend of mine the other day who was telling me that people in Kenya just taking that weather for granted, man. Do not take that weather for granted. You guys are living in the best weather climate conditions ever. 365 days, you've got summer. It goes down to like 15 degrees maybe once in a while, and you guys start complaining, oh, it's so cold. Like, fuck you. Don't know what cold is. This is cold right here, man. You get the freaking hell out in whatever you're wearing, in your, I don't want to say balls, but because we might have some women on this channel, man, it's not easy. It's not easy. This weather is not easy to get used to, and I'm still trying to get used to it, but it's like one of these things that it's exciting at first, of course, because it's the honeymoon period. You know, you're experiencing this new stuff for the first time. Oh wow, it's amazing, but it sucks. It fucking sucks. You know, sometimes it also depends where you're living. If you're in central London, it's kind of warmer down south, but the higher up you go, you know, Manchester, Leeds, Hull, those up north areas, it's worse. It's way worse. It's way cooler. It's cheaper, but it's worse in terms of weather. So, yeah. It took me a while to get used to seasons. Yes, seasons was something that the whole concept didn't really grasp me. But one thing I would say is it gives you this feeling of change, which is amazing. It's a nice feeling. You look out of the window and the country looks totally different than what it was a few months ago, and that feeling is just amazing. I don't know if I have a picture of, well, okay, when it was not snowing, but okay, we'll get back to that picture later. So this was when it was snowing, and so there's winter, you have the 4 seasons obviously, and so when winter ends, you look out the window, the same window, and you've not moved, but the country looks so different. It's so green. You've got, you know, greenery, and it's sunny, and when it does get into summer, it's like really humid because the UK is an island, so it does get humid, but you get to experience all of these seasons. So it will take you some time to adjust. So you have to make sure that you're wearing the right clothing during the season. So get used to that, you know, life cycle. And the other thing that I was not aware of, and I think this was something that I later on discovered, is that you have this seasonal depression. yes, seasonal depression is a thing, and I wasn't even aware about what it was. And it normally happens winter times, because I think it's because of the lack of sunlight or something like that that really gets your mood. It really fucks with your head. It really messes up your mood. It really, because you don't have the same number of hours of sunlight during winter than when you do during summer, obviously. So during winter, the sun would rise at like 9 in the morning and set by 3 p.m. And so this was another thing, which was, so because the times of when the sun would rise and set, you would start eating based on that. In Kenya, 365 days, the sun would rise at 6:30 in the morning, and 6:15 or whatever it would set p.m. And you have all those hours of sun, and when the sun's up in the sky, that's lunch, and when it's rising, that's breakfast, and when it's setting, that's dinner time. You can't do that over here. Here, it's like you don't follow the sun, because in wintertime I found myself eating dinner at like 3 p.m. and I was like, because it got dark real quick, and so I thought, is it dinner time? But you look at the time, it's like 3 o'clock, and you look outside, it's pitch black. Right? This picture was taken at like 12 o'clock. You hardly see any sun. There are days like for a week you wouldn't see the sun. So the weather is just something that is not easy to adapt to, but yeah, it is what it is, right? So yeah. So don't do your dinner breakfast kind of thing based on the weather anymore. You can't do that anymore. So leave that shit in Kenya. When you come here, it's like you look at the actual time and then you eat based on that, right? Because it's also going to mess with your sleeping patterns, right? Because you're so used to when it gets dark, it's like, all right, time to go to sleep. But not really. And then summer is completely opposite now. So summer, it's like the sun rises at like 3 in the morning and sets at like 10 o'clock at night. 10 p.m. You have a sunset at 10 p.m. Okay, I have to admit, man, that feeling is amazing. Like it feels like you have a longer day, but you don't really have it. It's the same number of hours, but it feels like a longer day, and you feel like I can get so much done, because the sun's still, it's like 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, and it's still so bright outside, and you feel like, oh, I can still, go and do things. So the country comes alive, more people are outside doing shit. So, yeah, all these seasons, it's a crazy experience. So get ready for that when you come here. So I've talked about the seasons, yes, the eating times, yes. Now the job market is another thing that I want to talk about. So before I talk about the job market, yes, of course you'll make some friends. Look at these idiots that I was Look at these idiots I was hanging out with, man. It was really fun times. This was the idiot that said Juan Blambe, so I'll share that video in a bit. This was me making my first snowman for the first time in my life, and it was a good. I know I look like shit, but who gives a fuck, man? I was having a freaking time of my life, and then summertime comes and you still hang out with more friends, and it was good. It was a slow process of getting to meet people, hanging out with new people. And it was a really good experience, and I really, really do, I have no regrets whatsoever. So it was good getting out of that bubble, and just experiencing London and just experiencing a new way of life, So, Now, we've got two more things to talk about: the job market and the cost of living, and then I'll share that Juan Blambe's video. So. So the job market, it's booming. It's freaking booming. Things move really quickly, man. Here, there's a lot of job opportunities. There's like being unemployed is, if you're a citizen, if you've got the right paperwork, or if you've got a sponsor from a company, you cannot be unemployed. And I'm pretty sure even people that do come in with visas and whatever are able to get jobs somehow, some way or the other, because it's like the city is just alive. There are opportunities almost everywhere and anywhere. But the problem is, when you're coming in with your degrees and your masters and your PhDs from different countries, and you come in with your degree here, they treat that degree like a piece of toilet paper because you've not studied here in the UK. So they look at your degree and be like, yeah, we gotta make you jump through some hoops before we can actually say, all right, you know what, this guy's actually got the skill set, right? Because the minute you say that, oh yeah, I studied abroad and I did this and I did that, it's like they start categorizing you as like, okay, this guy might not be as skilled, right? So when I came here for the first time looking for a job, it was like the first question that they asked me was, regardless of my citizenship, the first question was, do you have work experience in the UK? That was it. That was like the killer move. Like that was like the way that they could have just fished you out. Like, okay, yo, you don't have work experience, we'll get back to you. And then they didn't. So so that's how it was, you know. So that's how it's like they look for people that have experience. Most employers over here do look for people that have experience here in the UK. So getting into that first job is very difficult. But once you've got that foot in the door, ooh. Anyway, let me just calm down. Calm down. I'm calm. I'm calm. Okay. So we've talked about the job market, having no experience. Yes. Now the cost of living. If I'm not mistaken, right now the pound is trading at 150 shillings. So 1 pound is worth 150 shillings. A couple of months ago, before the pandemic, it was like 120 or 130 shillings. You need to fucking master this conversion. You need to know this conversion on the back of your hand because you will completely and very easily lose track of how much you're actually spending and how much because the cost of living here is higher. It is higher. Of course, you do get paid more, but it is higher. It is relatively higher. If you're not smart enough, if you don't know where to look for the deals and the offers and the coupons and all that kind of shit, you can end up spending money on things you'll be like, what? How much did I spend on that? So in your head, when you're calculating, right, you're coming from Kenya, you're here in the UK, you look at something worth $10, £10, and you're like, oh, £10, that's not so bad. In your head, you're thinking maybe 10 shillings. Fuck you. It's not 10 shillings, bitch. That's 1,000 shillings. Actually, 1,500 if you correctly do the math. So ask yourself, are you gonna spend 1,500 on this? I used to get my haircut in Kenya for 500 shillings. Yeah, I know it's quite a lot of money, but you know it's yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I used to get my haircut for 500. It used to be 200, but then they hiked up the prices before I left. So I used to pay 500, and then when I came here, they just used to charge £10. Actually, there was a place for £8, but then they hiked up the price to like £10, and I was like, oh, £10 is not so. It's not that expensive. That's 1,500, yo. So the haircut just went up from 500 to 1,500. You know, so it's like you have to do like that calculation. Like, okay, is this how much money I'm going to spend? You know, you look at items online. You're like, yeah, it's so cheap. It's so convenient that you can get it delivered. But if you actually do the conversions, it's pretty expensive. Apart like renting out. Another thing that you need to know is that the closer you are to central London, so London is obviously broken down into different zones, right? So zone 1 is central London. It's the heart of London. That's where all the millionaires are, and everyone out of zone 1 are treated like they're treated like scum. It's like you're not in zone 1, you're a nobody. I don't give a fuck about you. And zone 1 is a very small zone, right? I heard that they're trying to like expand it. So zone 1 is going to engulf zone 2, and then zone 2 is going to engulf zone 3, something like that. But I don't know if that's true. So if that happens, that's messed up because zone 1 is so expensive. It is the heart of London, and the cost of living in zone 1 just if you're not making more than £100,000 per annum, then it's just pointless living in zone 1. Yeah, that's the place where people with Lamborghinis, Ferraris drive around, and the rest of us are just peasants, and we just look at them and be like, yes, you are the rich people. So that's zone 1, then zone 2, zone 3. I don't even know what zone I think maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 10 or whatever. So so the closer you are to central London, the more expensive it is. The more you spread out, the cheaper it becomes. When you start going up north, it's way cheaper, way cheaper. The rent that you're paying for a small, like a matchbox over here, you can get a 5-bedroom house, or, well, not 5-bedroom, maybe a 3-bedroom house up north, right? But then you have to balance it out, right? You have to think about, okay, I'll live in a 3-bedroom house and pay less money, but is the job really gonna pay me that much? Probably not. So you have to balance it out. It depends now. If you're a remote worker, if you can work anywhere like I am, then maybe it would be more fruitful or advantageous for you to move up north. But then the problem is, if they call you into the office, are you ready to make that commute? Yeah, so you have to, all of these things you got to consider and think about it, right? So, yes, cost of living is way more expensive in in central London, and then as you move out, it gets cheaper. The most I've ever seen for a studio apartment is, I think, £2,000. Yes, 2,000. That's 300 or 400,000 Kenya shillings per month for a 1-bedroom in central London. Yeah, sounds about right. And then as you get out, it's like what they normally do is, like, because apartments are still way expensive, even as you get out of the different zones, it's they start renting out like rooms in a house. So you have like a shared house with other people inside, and each person has one room, and then you pay for that room, which is slightly cheaper, but not really, because you're kind of sharing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, at least you got the amenities that you have when you're in London, and getting access to central London is very easy. Central London is the heart of the city. It's everything and anything that you'd ever want or need. Or I'm not saying that living up north and all these other places is bad. I'm just saying that all the main attractions, all the traffic, if you want to meet more people, all the businesses that are making the big bucks are down here. So it's where you'd want to start. Secondly, for you to get a job here in central London would have been more easier, faster, because of all that traffic. So yeah, £2,000, bro. £2,000 for a studio. This is like, if I even showed you the pictures, it's crazy. So that's your rent. So you need to be at least earning, let's say, £4,000 to £5,000 a month net, which is around. So I think I did the math. It's 100,000 per annum. 100,000 per annum, so that you can make £5,000 a month, so that you can pay 2,000 for your rent. Yes, it is fucking expensive. Which now brings me to the cost of the. So I've talked about the rent. So gas and electric, obviously, it's slightly expensive as well. And then transportation. Now, central London, yes, the buses are really cheap. So you have to be smart. Use the buses. Don't freaking use private taxis, and even just stay away from Uber. I'm going to be very honest. When I flew in I think it was last year, I took an Uber from Heathrow Airport to my place, and it's literally, if I took a bus, I would have just paid £1, £1.50. No, actually, I would have just paid £1.50, and I would have to walk just a little bit from the bus station to here, because I'm such a fat, spoiled brat. I was like, no, let me just take an Uber. I paid £30. £30 is 4,500 or something like that. Yeah, Kenya shillings. And this was the biggest scam. So this was when I just came into this country. I'm going to show you guys this picture. This is a ticket of a taxi app, a private taxi app. So let me. Oh my God, I was such an idiot. So let me give you the story behind this ticket. this was 130 pounds I paid for a taxi. Let's, man, I was such an idiot. You can get conned. You can get conned here. You can really get ripped off if you're not smart. That's 19,000 Kenya shillings, right? 130 pounds. That's 19,000 Kenya shillings. I spent to take a taxi from work to home because the trains were down. I used to pay. Oh my god, I was so bad at conversions, and this guy just saw it from a mile away. He was like, "Oh, so you don't live in London, do you? You've this is your first time here?" He was asking me all these questions, and I just saw the meter running. Anyway, what had happened was on that specific Friday, okay, this dude. So on that Friday when I was coming back from work, right, what had happened was I think unfortunately someone had jumped in front of the trains or something, and well, this is what I heard. Someone had jumped in front of the trains, or something happened, and the trains were down at that for that day. And so when I got to the train station, the train from Chiswick to oh no sorry the train from Chiswick to Paddington was working. The train from Paddington to Slough wasn't working. That was the one that was down. So I took the first. So I used to take two trains when I used to come back from work, when I used to commute, basically. And so the train from Chiswick to Paddington, that was perfectly fine. So I used that one. Then I got to Paddington, and the problem was from Paddington to Slough, it was like, oh shit, okay, the train's kind of down. So how the freaking hell am I supposed to get to home? How am I supposed to get home? And I never used the buses at that time. I didn't know how to use the buses. It was all still kind of new to me. And I just familiarized myself with using the trains. And I got used to like just paying one monthly fee for the ticket. And yes, London is cycling friendly. Exactly. I should have just freaking gotten a bike. But at that time, it was pretty far. I couldn't have cycled from Paddington all the way to Slough. That would have taken forever, I think. Yeah, that would have taken me a while. But I should have done that. That would have been way, way cheaper than paying 130 pounds. And so, shit. The trains were down. Now, I had two options. One, I could have just waited 1 hour, because they said that they made an announcement that, okay, in an hour or 2 hours, the trains are going to be back up and running, and you can just use the train again. And I had the monthly ticket that I paid £200 for, £200 for an entire month to use the train in this route. And this is 130 for a day. So 200 for the entire, so that ticket was valid. I just had to wait 1 hour and that train would have been like working. And in my head, in my Kenyan mentality, I'm thinking, these guys are saying 1 hour. Maybe it'll just be like 4 or 5 hours and I'm going to be stuck here. And I'm like, I just need to get home right now, because I had other things at that time that I had to get home to, because there were things that I needed to get done. And so I needed to be home a bit early on that day. And in my head, I was like, shit, I'm going to be stuck here for hours. I don't know how long I'm going to be stuck here for. So let me do this. Let me just take an Uber. So I talked to one of the taxi guys that was parked outside the train station, and I told him like, hey, I want to get to Slough, and how much do you think? Ealing Broadway. You can even see it on the ticket, Ealing Broadway to Slough. Today I'm checking online. It's like I think £1.30 or £1.40 to get from Ealing Broadway to Slough. Anyway. So he was like, I think it will be like £60. 60. He told me 60. And I didn't convert that correctly in my head. I was like, 60, I guess, I'm tired from work. In my head, I'm like, okay, 60 doesn't sound so bad, I guess. It's a taxi. I'll have the whole taxi to myself. I'll just relax and he'll drop me on my doorstep. It will be convenient. So, okay, cool. I sat in that thing. This motherfucker knew that this dude isn't from around here. This dude took me back to Ealing Broadway. No, he took me back to Chiswick. we literally passed my office. I looked out the window, like, wait, isn't that my office? It's like, no, the highways aren't working because the trains are down, so we got to take another route. I was like, okay, I guess, maybe that's what'll have to happen. So this guy took me back to work. It would just pass my office. And then, and then he got onto like this massive, humongous highway, right? It was a nice scene. It was nice to like, look at the view and everything and all that. It was fine. But I was just sitting there looking at the ticker, because now, so there's a ticker inside the taxi cab that just runs every couple of minutes. You just see that thing changing as he's driving along based on the time that you're in the cab. And I'm just looking at that thing. It's passing 60, 65, 70, 80, 90. Now we reach Slough, and this dude is driving slow. Oh my God. And I'm just looking at that timer just ticking like 75, 79, 80, 90, 110, 120. I was like, at this point, I could just get out of the freaking thing and just run and go home and blah. I'm not going to pay you this money, man. And it still didn't even occur to me how much money this was at that time. I thought 130, by 120, it wouldn't be that expensive, maybe. But it still didn't occur to me like, this is a lot of money. So he reached the house and it's 130 pounds on the freaking thing. And then so this was what he was telling me, right? And this was another thing that he told me. So look, listen, right? I know this thing is pretty expensive, but what you can do is you can take this ticket. You can take this ticket to the train station the next day and make a complaint, and they will refund you some money out of the 130. So I know 130 looks a lot of money, but just go with this ticket. Just tell them, look, the trains were down on this day. I couldn't get home, so can you refund me for the day? And in my head, it was like, oh yeah, it makes sense. And this dude even wrote his number down. And guess what? This number is missing one number. So the phone number is missing a number. I didn't have his number plate. I didn't have his name. I didn't have his phone number. He purposely left out one digit on this phone number. So if you call this, it's an invalid number. And so, oh man. You gotta learn. You get out of your comfort zone and do these other things. And that's how you learn, right? This is a learning experience. So I paid him 130 in cash. I had to go to the ATM. So the ATM luckily was just very close by where I was staying. So I was like, okay, just hold on. I'll just go to the ATM, withdrew the money, and I gave him 130 in cash, and then he just drove off. And I'm pretty sure that dude that Friday for that dude, he must have not even worked for like weeks with the amount of money that I gave him. Anyway, I went to the train station the next day, Saturday, with this ticket. And I told them, like, yeah, your trains were down on Friday. What the fuck, man? I want my money back. And so they looked at the ticket. They were like, number one, the number's wrong. Number two, yeah, so we can refund you the money, which is £1.50. £1.50 is what they'll charge for you to, because that's how much it costed if you used the train or if you used the bus from Ealing Broadway to Slough. So at least they gave me £1.50 back. So anyway, right. So yes, let me show you a couple of pictures of London. Yeah, that's what London looks like. Really awesome, man. It's a really nice, clean city. The weather sucks, but yeah, that's life, It was a good experience. Learned a lot. Did a lot of crazy things. The buildings they have this old colonial type of structure, and yeah, it looks really cool. Anyway, so before we end the show, I gotta show you guys this video. So this was the dude that I used to hang out with, and he had to move back, I think, to Romania or something, or I think he lost his job because of COVID, but unfortunately. So before we end the show today, I hope you guys learned something. If you ever do want to come to Kenya, if you ever do want to come to the UK, so at least you've learned something. So this is the video of me teaching a Romanian how to say Wamblambes. Enjoy. So, are you ready?
So all you have to say is
Fuck my balls.
not that. You're supposed to say. I'm supposed to say one blambes, and then you say.
That's all I know. One blambes. That's all I know.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Oh man, today's session's just been so freaking awesome, man. All right, I'll leave you. I'll leave you guys later on. I'll check you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. For those of you that have joined, it has been a crazy journey, man. It has been a crazy journey. So thank you guys so much for everything.